Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and today I'm doing the currently reading tag. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, a tag for you today. This is the currently reading tag. This was originally created quite a while ago, I believe, by Charlie Ray. I was tagged by Ollie over at Criminolly, so thanks for that tag, Ollie. And yes, this is all about reading habits. So let's crack on straight into the prompts then. So, number one, how many books do you read at once? I generally have maybe 2, 3 on the go at once. 2's probably the average, but the maximum number that I will allow, that has been known, is 4. And that is, I'll allow one physical, one Kindle, one audiobook, and also one comic or graphic novel on the go, all at the same time. That is my absolute limit though. So yeah, maximum 4, but on average 2. Prompt number 2 then. If you are reading more than one book at a time, how do you decide to switch to reading the other book? I.e., do you read a certain amount of pages each or something like that? No, it's all about the mood for me. I tend to make sure that the books that I've got on the go are quite different to one another. You know, I've got something for whatever mood I'm in at that particular time. So, you know, I might have something trashy on the go at the same time as something decidedly not trashy, something a little bit more towards the literature end of things. Not that I really read much literature, high literature. So I might start off with something quite dense or quite complex, something a bit more difficult to read, and then switch to something lighter. Or if I've got a horror on the go that I know is probably going to be maybe a little bit scary for me, I will also have something lighter and non-horror based on the go as well. So I can read the horror first, and then when it gets more towards bedtime, I can switch to something that isn't going to give me nightmares, basically. So it's just when I've had enough of that particular book in that sitting, I will switch to something else. Okay, prompt number 3. Do you ever switch bookmarks while you're partway through a book? It's a bit of an odd one, that one. No, not unless I lose the bookmark, which has been known. You know, my sofa is probably, rather than coins down the back of the sofa, it's probably bookmarks. But no, I don't swap intentionally to another bookmark. If the one that I've picked hasn't been lost, then that stays in the book until the end. Prompt number 4 then. Where do you keep the book you're currently reading? If it's a physical book, it goes back on the bookshelves. I have my bookshelves organised, so I've got kind of, you know, most of it is just, you know, it's separated by have read and to reads, or not read. So I've got, you know, most of my shelves are kind of split up by that. And then I have a small shelf in the middle of the bookshelf, which is for, you know, kind of the month's reading, the kind of the possibilities, the TBR. And then whatever I'm reading from that bit of the shelf just basically gets plonked back on the shelf, just kind of lying down, where I can just quickly grab it again. So that one just goes back on the bookshelf, occasionally on the dining room table. But I tend to get in trouble if I leave things lying around on the table, because my general chaos spreads throughout the house enough, and so to give my missus a little bit of a break, I do try and put the book at least on the bookshelf when I'm not reading it. My Kindle likewise goes on the bookshelf, usually in like a pocket. Like this is my iPad case. and my Kindle slots nicely in this pocket here, so it tends to live in with my iPad, because my iPad is what I use for reading comics and graphic novels on if I've got those digitally. So it just makes sense to kind of keep those together. And then audio is all on my phone. I only ever listen to audiobooks on my phone. So that is obviously with me wherever I go. Okay, prompt number 5. What time of day do you spend the most time reading? Oh, without a doubt, evening and night time. That is those are my reading hours. After tea, basically, I finish work probably around about 7:30. I come downstairs, I make us some tea, we eat our tea, and then I usually pick up a book around about 8:30ish. I can't read in the mornings. I'm not a morning person. It takes a lot to drag me out of bed anyway. I have to get up to walk the dog and stuff, or start work at a relatively reasonable hour. But I can't do much first thing in the morning. I need a lot of coffee, and my eyes just won't. My eyes won't focus on like text and stuff like that easily in the morning, and I just can't take it in. It doesn't stay in my head, unless it's a comic. I can read comics in the morning. I do read a lot on weekend afternoons, though, particularly in the winter when it's crappy outside and you don't want to leave the house. You just want to like curl up on the sofa with a blanket on, and yeah, then I will read a book of a weekend afternoon. But majority of it is between sort of 8:30 and sort of 2 in the morning. That's my prime reading hours. Prompt number 6. How long do you typically read in one go? If I pick up a book, as I say, in the evening at about 8:30, I will read for 4 to 5 hours usually. I like to pack it all into one slot. As I say, I won't necessarily be reading the same book, and I might have a little sort of break every hour or two, to kind of just let my eyes rest and stuff like that. But yeah, generally, if I sit down to read, I like to properly have a good chunk of reading time, so quite a few hours. Prompt number 7. Do you read hardcovers with the dust jacket on or off? I don't have a lot of hardcovers at all. I tend to be a paperback fan of physical books, just because it's not about the actual physical book so much for me as it is just the words. I want to get through it, and paperbacks are just more comfortable to read. But if I am reading a hardback, and I do have some, I will generally leave the dust jacket on, unless it's a really large book, either thick or large, where the dust jacket actually becomes kind of an annoyance in terms of holding it and stuff, or I'm worried about really actually ripping it because of holding it, then I'll take it off. But generally, I just leave them on. Okay, prompt number 8. Which position do you mainly use to read? Majority of the time, I am kind of stretched out on the sofa, not laying down, but kind of with my back propped up, but stretched out with my legs stretched out, or kind of propped up a little bit. So if I've got a big book, to prop the book on my knees. I like to be kind of curled up on the sofa with it, and after I've sat upright all day, I like to be able to stretch out of an evening. Largely stretched out on the sofa. We have 2 sofas in our living room, 1 each, basically. I have the larger one because I'm the taller person, only by a couple of inches, but still. And my missus has the other sofa, which she kindly shares with the dog. So she has a footstool. But yeah, the dog doesn't get much of a look in on my sofa whilst I'm on it. I like to be stretched out on it reading. Okay, prompt number 9. Do you take the book you're currently reading wherever you go? Not always the physical book, no. I take my Kindle pretty much wherever I go. these days, because it's just easier. You know, I've got a choice of stuff on it. It's, you know, nice and light and easy to stick in my bag wherever I'm going. If I'm going out for like the day, the Kindle's fine. If I'm going away for a couple of days, then I will take a physical book with me, especially if it's one that I am currently reading. But yeah, generally I just take the Kindle, and obviously I'll have my phone on me, and some headphones, so I can always plug into an audiobook. If I'm out like on public transport, I tend to listen to an audiobook. I tend to just like to, you know, get on the train, plug myself in, and, you know, amuse myself for half an hour into town or whatever, with an audiobook. Prompt number 10 then, how often do you update your progress on GoodReads? I've stopped using GoodReads. I stopped using GoodReads a while ago, because I never really liked it in terms of its usability. It just isn't my kind of interface, if you like. Still use it to look at people's reviews and things like that of books, and descriptions and stuff like that, but I don't really log anything on there and update progress and stuff anymore. I do use Storygraph though instead, which I prefer so much more. It's much more streamlined, and yeah, I just find it, you know, it's about stats really. It's just because I only ever used GoodReads for logging my own stuff. I never used the social media kind of side of things, and so yeah, Storygraph is a lot more kind of, it's more basic, but it's more my cup of tea. So I do log my progress on Storygraph when I've read a book. I don't tend to use the tracking progress that much, mainly because I forget, and also just because it just kind of feels like a bit of a waste of time. I'd rather just wait and log the book as read, and the dates. You know, I might log when I start reading a book, and then again when I finish it, so I've got the dates read in, and put in, you know, my review, my stars, basically, you know, my star rating, in there. But yeah, I don't track progress particularly. I might do that if I've got a book on the go which I'm taking a long time over, like, you know, several months, just so that I can kind of keep track of where I'm up to and stuff if I've not used a bookmark. But yeah, generally I just track the progress when I start something and then when I finish it. So last prompt is just a simple, who would you like to tag? So I will tag a couple of people on this occasion, a couple of folks whose videos I have been enjoying a lot recently, and those are Celeste over at Bookbound Weirdo and Crystal over at Fiber Artsy. So if you two fancy a go at this one, then please jump right in. So yes, so that is it from me today. A relatively short video for me. I could do one every now and again. So yes, thanks very much for watching, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming very soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.